remember I was telling you that Drake was just like, I've been diving back into the world of cinema during all of this. Yeah, I didn't show you. So he was just like naming like old school art house directors and stuff, talking about how like almost like a Howard Hughes kind of.
Like an AI video of just Drake.
No, it was just like a fake tweet, I think.
Oh, okay,
So,
just like
Airplane crashes are caused by this, and I love staycations.
Howard Hughes and Bertolt Brecht. And
yeah, fuck yeah, Mac the Knife.
Paranaja.
Did you know that Bertolt Brecht wrote Mac the Knife?
Yeah.
You did know that?
Yeah.
Because I was like, I downloaded a poetry app recently because I'm like, I need to be more cultured, dude. I can't just be sitting here acting like I know things. You know?
Have you watched Severance at all?
No, I keep hearing about it though.
It's really, really good. Like I know it's like won a Peabody for the writing and everything. We're in the second season now, and like the first season's really interesting. Like, do you know the premise?
I can't say it off the top of my head now.
Okay, yeah, without giving any spoilers, because
Yes.
the premise is that like there's an operation that can be performed to where when you're conscious, you're unconscious while you're working. So when you clock in and you go into the specific area, your brain flips and you
become your work persona.
Your work persona awakens as if it's a new day.
I thought it was basically like there was a clone of you that was at work all the time, and that the real you gets to live your real life. But I mean, like the severance premise, that's just basically going to work, you know? Like you go to work, you change. Like I don't know about you, but especially working for local government, I just changed. I was doing this Republican LARP thing that I would do, where I was like pretending to be a white guy, like a regular middle class, like clean cut white guy who was like center board.
I constantly do bits to disassociate.
Yeah. And
like
I think this is normal at work, you know.
And so like so that's the whole premise. And when I first started watching it, I was like, oh, this is really good. Like this raises questions about consciousness and all this shit that I think is deep and important. And it was like in like all these like head ass radical art ways. And then the show kind of transformed into more of like a mystery thing. Like not just like the plot points started to, because it started to establish character. Because the first little bit while you're establishing character and you're letting the plot unfold, it feels more like a mood piece. So it feels a lot artsier. Okay. Now that you're in the second season and there's a story unfolding and all that, there's like you lose some of that like art house like like there are less long shots and like because there's more you're trying to convey in time. So it's become more of a like prestige TV show as opposed to like what it felt like when I was first watching it, which is like something artsy and shit. But yeah, highly recommended and stuff like that. Okay. I'm trying to think of Julie got me that emulator thing, and that's pretty sick.
Oh, like toys, the game toy?
The game toy.
Yo.
So like I haven't really delved into it, but like for people who haven't seen these, like it's just a bunch of like the Chinese just loaded a bunch of emulators onto what looks like a Game Boy, and it has joysticks and all that. It's pretty great. Sick. It's pretty sick.
The one that I had, and it had a program that I actually have on Steam called Retro Arch. Arch or something.
Yeah, and, this one has that too, I think.
So if it's similar to the one I had some brand called Anbernic, some Chinese brand, I guess, and it had like 5,000 games. I've seen ones that they were like 50,000,
Yeah, this has like probably like 10,000 games on it because it's got a couple thousand for a few different systems, but then a few systems have like 9 games in them. But it's pretty sick. And like,
is yours more advanced where it can play like PS2, PS3? Because mine went up to like PS1 and N64.
Yeah, it can't play. The highest it goes, I would say, is PSP. There are some PSP games on it, but it doesn't do PS2, and it does a few PS1 games.
Like Star Wars Battlefront, Elite Squadron, or something.
No, it doesn't. I mean, it may do that. It may do that. Like, that one's not on it. Because, it comes, like, loaded with a bunch of shit. Like, she got it from some drop shipping, BOS.
Really yeah.
Like,
so I got mine for like 150 or something. I got stolen in Philly too.
Yeah, I don't even think it was that fucking. I don't even think it was that much. I want to say it was like fucking like $30-$40. It was some crazy.
Oh yeah, well I got mine like 3-4 years ago during the pandemic, so it was like the height of when they first started coming out, and so I haven't tried to get another one. I was thinking about the Steam Deck. Because you could just hack it to do the same fucking thing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know anything. Like, I'm not a big... This is why this is perfect, is because I'm not a big game dude, but I like games in theory. Just like I never watch movies, but, like, I like movies in theory.
Right.
And, like...
sit here and watch every fucking film. Or even keep up with the new stuff.
Exactly. Like, that... Well, now it seems even harder now to fucking to keep up with literally anything. But
There's
like
always something. Yeah, it's just like with games, like you said, like it's just shit keeps pumping out.
There's too many shows! There's too many shows! There's too many shows! There's too many shows! There's too many shows!
and so much art doesn't feel worth it. So it's like
Right,
I don't
it's like
I don't
it's-
want to fucking take a chance on this shit
It just feels cheap. Like they're
yeah.
pumping it out just to pump
just
it
feels
out
like
rather
content. But like holy shit.
like a vow.
I was going off on a about to go off on a
video
full
game
blown
tangent,
video
art-
game tangent.
art
Oh yeah, no.
movies.
What I like about the emulator is that it makes me feel like I'm doing some sort of communism because it's open source. You know what
Oh,
I mean?
right,
It's
right,
just like, oh yeah, just hack these games. It's got like legitimate like Nintendo games and shit
Yeah.
on it.
Some real
And it's
real
just
classic
like,
bangers.
I could even
Legend
be
of Zelda?
I could even be incriminating myself by saying this on tape.
We're hacking through the mainframe.
But yeah, it's fucking sick, and it's just got,
There's
like,
a legal
all
loophole
shit.
in there somewhere. I'm
yeah,
sure.
yeah. Who knows?
I don't know. Maybe it's the investigating of the what's
It's
on the
it's
content.
liberalism. Consumers have
Yeah.
rights.
Yes.
Consumers have rights under liberalism.
And ultimately, it doesn't fucking matter as long as the money keeps moving. You know,
Amen. Amen.
as long as there's no drugs in them, just get it out of here. You know.
The money has like completely infected my algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what kind of videos you get pumped, but it used to be that I was getting a steady supply of like Sopranos, Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, all these clips from
Good
like
ass memes, yeah.
just from like
Yeah.
fucking like brain rotted like dudes that is like, oh, you're a guy in this range. These are probably the things you like, and I do
Yeah.
get hooked into them because those are all good shows. And it does give me the satisfaction of like I'll spend an hour watching, you know,
Yeah, some like
fucking
Tony Soprano clips or
50,
something.
30 second
I get a lot of
clips.
Twin Peaks.
Yeah, the Twin
'Cause I
Peaks
follow-
clips, all that kind of shit. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
But now it's starting to switch to it suggested me some Pawn Stars, and I love that shit. Yeah, so like once Pawn
Chun-Li.
Stars shit fucking started popping up in my thing, to it'll be like, and it's perfect in that. Those are the perfect like YouTube.
You used to watch that.
Yo, I used to watch that shit like crazy.
One thing I've learned after 21 years, you never know what is going to come through that door.
Because I love
the old man, the bald dude.
I'm the worst Marxist because I love commodities.
No, it
I
is-
fetishize commodities so much, and I think the only thing that delving into like communism and shit has really done to me is it's made me remove my love of the commodity, and it's instead made me have this unhealthy fixation with the exchange. So like instead of like being like, oh, I love this video. This is what I was telling you about all these damn Arab jewelers that are coming up on my feed. Instead of watching a video,
No, 'cause that's
and
your
being
that's
like-
your real wormhole.
Yeah, instead of being, well, that's how I got to Arab jewelers, because instead of being like,
Oh God, I can't.
it used to be that I would just love the cool things that people bring into stores and shit.
right. It's like
but
so
now,
you're watching Antique Roadshow, and then it turns
now
into
I just
trailer.
love the money. I
Trailer
just love
wars,
seeing like
yeah.
how much is that worth. And then today it's shit
Storage
of people
wars.
like today just before you came over, I got in a fucking hole because it was people like smelting down scrap silver and gold, and I'm just
Oh,
sitting here thinking like, oh, I
yes.
could do that. Oh, I could start like
Brain rot is
farming
everywhere.
for gold and silver and shit like
exactly,
that. Like
yeah.
like kept telling myself, and I was like, wow, I could go like this guy like got a candle thing from a fucking Goodwill and then broke it down for the silver and was like $36 in silver. And I was like, okay, I need to.
My brother was telling me about some shit like that because he's been
Because
good.
that's the kind of shit. Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
what I'm saying. So like,
that's
you
the
can,
demographic for
when
that.
you
is your
consume
brother.
that shit,
Yeah.
that's a whole different story. You're like, oh, I feel gross and icky. But when you're like, you consume it and you're like, I'm gonna do that. That's a whole different level. So my brother, he's been doing good. He hasn't been, since he got out of jail, he's been doing a lot better. Living off of like VA stuff, whatever. Not to get too into his life or whatever.
No,
But
but that's what you should. That's exact. But to me, I'm gonna give you my prejudgment before you give me
Okay,
the
go ahead.
spiel.
Go ahead.
So like to me, that's what people should be doing.
yeah.
Like get your money in whatever fucking, because that's where
Yeah.
I'm at. Scams,
Yeah.
schemes, and scams, and scams is the wrong
How
word because
can you
I don't
game
want
the
to. I don't.
system?
Yeah, I don't want someone to be a victim.
Right.
But schemes. Like,
Yeah, because there's dumb money out there all the time. And you just got to find a way to get your little net out somehow. But that's
there's
the,
so much fucking money out there, and
That's
it
the-
drives me crazy.
That's the whirlpool people get sucked in, though. Because, like, you can't just hang on the periphery for your whole life. And people want to, and I want to. I don't want to fucking, be so invested in trying to score as much cash as I possibly can that it just fucking becomes my personality in my life. But anyway, not that that's not worth talking about. But anyway, what I was originally going to talk about was that he would come to me and talk to me about how he's trying to get like computer parts so he can get the gold from them and shit. And I'm like, why? That sounds like so much work for a little bit of gold. And like, are you gonna make money off of that? Like, that's
gold
gonna be
prices are like high as fuck right now.
No, I know. This was like a year ago too at the time, so it didn't really make sense to me. But I was like, fuck, just you see stuff like that online, and you just want to do it, and then you're.
I have to make money, but I can only make money if you do like 1200.
No.
That's where I'm at right now because I'm like, I'm so worried about the becoming privatization wave and just like the neoliberal hellscape that we're gonna be in. Jeez. Because like I was listening to TrueAnon and they were talking about Europe in this a recent episode of theirs, and then just offhandedly when they were going off on a little diatribe, is they were mentioning how like Trump is like these corporate like techno feudal lords and shit are the only radical party. Like they are the only like revolutionary party. Because and they were like referencing they were referencing it as like they're being a vanguard party. They're only the true vanguardism is and I was like
the real strongman politics.
It fucking blew my brain to characterize it that way because I was like, no, that's so true. Like the system's being shaken up and like we're in the middle of the system being ruptured.
Well, it's reactionary more than revolutionary.
Well, no, it is reactionary, but it is but revolutionary in the sense that like they
are revolutionizing. The entire system.
They're saying that in the TrueAnon homies were saying that and recognizing, not saying that as leftist revolutionary, but saying that it's revolutionary as in like their whole framing it and this, and then I don't want to just bite their bit, so I'll tell you what my whole point of point of it where I'm going with this. But like, so their whole bit was that Democrats and like the left now is just trying to perpetuate the liberal status quo, which we might have even touched on our last episode. But like, so like,
things are fine the way they are.
Yeah, that's all. That's the only
democracy is working.
And now Trump and them have come in there and done some like radical fucking changes and radical shifts for the worst.
And we obviously haven't seen the ramifications
for the
of
fucking
those.
Worst. But they're actually doing like they're putting in. They're making changes to the system and ignoring the status quo and making ruptures.
Right.
And so where that puts me, and this is the part that I'm adding to it, is that like, and getting back to the Arab gold jewelers and shit like that and the commodities, is that I am realizing like how at the whim of people and power structures that we truly are.
Influencers.
The power structures. We are. There is a radical political change happening that we are along for the ride for. Whether we like it or not, we are along for the ride in a radical, probably terrible shift that's about to occur in Western politics and in the status quo and the world order as we know it. And like, we want that from a leftist standpoint, and that's not what's happening now, and that's not going to happen anytime soon.
Please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore.
That's so good. That's so true to point out. And that's kind of why I also wanted to segue into talking about, not to get too political here, but I was thinking about like the only actual change that you can make in the midst of all of this going on, in my opinion, is to directly get involved in your immediate community and like try to get involved with mutual aid and like actually volunteer time. Like I know, because I'm not trying to like criticize or shame anybody, but for myself personally, I will have a self-critical judgment to say, it's so easy to get online and be performative with your activism and to share posts and to just, say, oh, I'm involved or I'm part of the voice of reason or I'm on the right side of history. But you're not actually like really getting involved. And you can't shame people for that either because they're too busy with their own personal lives by design, by working, by maintaining families, by doing all of this stuff. So they really have no time to dedicate to that. And so my main point is to just, I guess, encourage people to analyze that and to see like what can you actually do in your immediate community to help people who need the most help. People are getting fucking laid off from their federal jobs, not that they're going to be like immediately homeless or anything, but there are people who have over the course of the pandemic, et cetera, have become homeless in your community. And one thing I noticed from working downtown a lot was when you look at a homeless person, no matter where you are, you ignore them. It doesn't matter who you are, where you are, if you're poor, rich, middle class or anything like that. People just ignore homeless people.
Because it's structural.
Exactly. No, but
It's
it's
because
like,
since it's structural.
and some people hate homeless people. Like, actively hate people. And
But
my
they
sister
hate them
told
in the
me-
way that they hate, like, mosquitoes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They think
like
they're pests.
That's my point. Is it's structural. So like even people who are indifferent treat them as if they're like
Not humans.
Well,
you know, like
exactly.
pariahs.
They're dehuman. But people who don't like them treat them like mosquitoes. But people who don't like who are indifferent to homeless people or who have a problem with homeless the concept of
or like
homelessness
project
in
as
general
a failure onto
well,
them.
No, not even that. I'm talking about people who are like
Okay.
accepting of homeless people. Like I'm not talking. I'm talking about like people like you and I who
Right.
completely recognize why they're in that position. But like I totally recognize that like I do the same thing.
Yeah,
I
I'm
fucking
guilty of it
ignore
too.
because like I have my shit to do and I have my day to go about, and so it's like
Can't
to
keep doing
transition
that.
into this mutual aid thing. I have a huge.
I can't keep doing that
think
anymore.
like I have a problem with mutual aid conceptually, but I want to like
Do it in
I want to qualify everything I'm gonna say in
a
that
constructive
like
way.
I want to qualify everything I'm gonna say in that like I don't want to say it as a like in like a doomer perspective. This is the contradiction, and this is like why this is the dialectic of everything. Is like both can be true and contradicting at the same same time. I think mutual aid conceptually is bullshit because it's just like
It depends on everybody.
it's exactly like the liberal idea of like banning straws, of like you place the emphasis on the individual to do something, and instead of making structural changes, it's based on like these small individual community changes that like it's like telling people to recycle. And then taking the fact that
But
recycling is bullshit out of
that's
it.
performative,
But
you
like
know?
but that's what I'm getting at is that like
That
it
doesn't actually
comes from the
change
same spot. It comes from the same place of this idea that like you have to, the individual, and this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm getting to. There is a contradiction. So this is like that's why I'm trying to
I'll let you
qualify
finish.
it. Yeah, that's why I'm trying to qualify it so I don't sound like so I'm being cynical.
Okay.
Like the inherent theoretical bullshit aspect of it is that it's us being forced to do what the system should do.
I see what your point is. Yeah.
That is not to say that like people, because that's a social thing too. Communities should like part of radically changing social fabric should be
Just being
shifting
involved in your
people's
community, yeah.
ideas. Yeah, you should be involved in your community. Like that should be true. Like both are true at the same time. That the system should fucking take care of everybody, but then like
Exactly.
also there should be this radical social change in American, like because I don't know how it is in other cultures.
Oh, I know
But
what you
like
mean,
in
yeah.
the American, fabric of American lifestyle right now, where everyone's so individual and shit too.
Hyper-individualism, yep.
Mutual aid as a concept is great.
But it's
because
a result of the problems that
Yeah, but it's
exist
the result
structurally.
of something structural that like should be fucking addressed structurally.
And it's also, that's my point, is that I look at it now as more of like a reaction, but it is a result, and you're
Yeah.
ultimately right that it shouldn't have to exist.
Yeah, it shouldn't have to exist, but it's good that it does. And
Yeah.
like, and I think that like when thinking about a broader picture, that it is important to have things like that like I say change the cultural conditioning,
The zeitgeist.
change the
Yeah.
psychological makeup of a culture by being like, this is the whole point of the Cultural Revolution and shit like that, is that like you need to have the fabric of a society changed, whether that
Right.
be secularizing a religious society or modernizing a feudal society or any of that bullshit. You need to be able to restructure things, and I think mutual aid is a good example of that. But I just haven't. My knee-jerk reaction to it is like, it sucks that we have to fucking do it.
Yeah.
It sucks that like
And it'll always be politicized. And even if you try to approach it in a centrist way that rallies people from both sides or whatever, there's always going to be a polarization involved in it.
yeah.
And then, like I said previously, like even just the way that people look at homeless people, if you find yourself in a tier, in a class, I interacted with somebody today that was like that. They had this superiority complex that because they had this math degree that they were smarter than everybody, and they were acting like that. And I'm just like, and they were punching down, and they were like, "Oh, you probably work at Burger King." And da, da, da. I'm like, "What does that matter? What the fuck are you talking about? If I work at Burger King, what does that mean? Oh, you're too stupid to understand." It's like that shouldn't be part of your argument at all. You're just punching down because you have a humiliated ego. But my point ultimately beyond that is that people will look down on. It's not even charity. What mutual aid would be. That's considered more like solidarity, if anything. But people will look at that and be like,
Well,
it's not worth. It's not worth my time to even address or even acknowledge. Really,
I think like I think like my knee jerk reaction to mutual aid is that it's like an anarchist model, and like it helps in a community, like it helps in community aspects. Like I think like the way that it gets organized through like the scenes and shit that you and I are a part of, where someone will be like, hey, so and so is low having a problem with rent or whatever.
Yeah.
Can like people Venmo? Like I think that like works, but that's ultimately like an anarchist model, right?
Right.
And I think like. This isn't me saying don't do it. Still keep doing it. But I think like ultimately what is the best kind of shit is like the kind of like mutual aid through party organizations.
Yeah.
So like
agree.
whether that be whatever your fucking flavor is, DSA, PSL, ACP for fucking, weirdos or whatever, like whatever your flavor is, or CPUSA, like whatever your flavor is, they all do community outreach, they all do organizing and shit like that to
that's the point.
to more or less degrees. And that's
Of
to me that's
organization.
what shit should be.
Yeah, no, I agree that organization should be a priority over, let's say, mobilizing for protest sake to protest an issue. And it just kind of fizzles out at times or is suppressed by violent means through state policing. And organizing, I think, is important. That's why I think that mutual aid is also not like, it's just ultimately on the individual, but it's based on people to organize for that.
Yeah,
thing,
yeah, and and it's a
like
social
Food Not
structure.
Bombs, for example,
Yeah.
they're a great example of a mutual aid that is not run by, let's say, any leadership, but is kind of autonomous in the sense that it is an organized group of individuals who take it upon themselves to do that.
I don't know anything about them, so I don't know if they.
That's all I know about them, really.
Oh yeah, I don't.
I guess what I was trying to say earlier too is that rich
I know,
people
like, there's,
aren't going to care about poor people, and only people who are adjacent to poverty will understand what poverty is to care about it. And then otherwise, there are people who have this attitude like, I'm going to escape poverty and get as rich as I can and fuck everybody behind me.
Yeah, which is me and my Arab jewelers.
Exactly.
Is that like
Hell yeah.
And I was actually thinking about this. Is just like at what point I think that I'd be immune to lifestyle creep, but like I just like privacy so much that like in my head I'm like, yo, if I started actually like making money, like I would do good things with the money. But then I'm like, yeah, but first I need to get a house where I'm away from everybody.
Yeah. You're like, you don't want to live in an apartment with 200 people.
Yeah.
I used to think about that all the time as a kid, and maybe that's why I'm such a fucking left kind of oriented person, I guess, is the one thing I would think of is like, if I had $1 billion, what would I do with it?
Yeah.
That wasn't just like, I'm going to go have fun. I'm going to buy this house and that house. So like, what would I actually do with that money?
Yeah.
Like a good thing to do with it.
Because like a fucking $1 billion is so much money that like people don't realize that like,
especially like 20 years ago when I was a kid, I'm like, $1 billion, I can't even wrap my head around that. But I would be like, I could get so much shit done, change so much shit, But I think a lot of people's just occupation with an idea like that is like, what would you? Wasn't there a movie like that where you had like Mr. Deeds or something where you had all this money and you had to spend it all at once? Or no, it was fucking Eddie Murphy in the 80s. There was a movie about that where this guy had a day or two to spend this like insane amount of money and try to spend as much of it as he possibly could, And I feel like that kind of feeds into this like American dream hyper individualist attitude and commodification, all that stuff, where it's just like, oh, if I had $500 million, I would have this mansion. That's why all these rich celebrities and the elites and the wealthy and all that are kind of like that. They're super private. They need security to go out into public, and I'm kind of losing my train of thought right here. I'm a little drunk, sorry. But we had these espresso martinis.
barely had an espresso martini. You're not even like fully fun.
Dude, I don't drink like that
You
anymore.
just crossfaded. You took a little bit of
Yeah.
hit of the whip and shit.
The
like
crossfade
that.
is real.
Looking back at me, I see that I never really got it right.
I notice it when it hits. Like it hits my chest, and it makes me feel like I'm sinking into myself.
I like one of my favorite things to do, especially because Julie likes to drive. So
Does she really?
She doesn't like to drive. She doesn't like. She has car anxiety, just from being in accidents and shit. So she would rather
be in
drive
control.
so that she's in control and shit like
Gotcha.
that. And so, and I
Totally fine.
I have no ego about it. So like,
Exactly.
but like sometimes we'll just be kind of chilling and everything, and I'll be, especially on days that I'm off, like if I don't have Maddie or whatever, I'll just I'll be like, oh, it's 3 o'clock and I'm fucking an alcoholic and bored, so I'm gonna have a beer or two. And then she's like, hey, you want to go to Target? And I'm like, just been outside like smoking blunts and like having beers and like brain rotting videos or whatever. And I'm like, yeah. And then like I'll be fucking crossfaded at the Target, and it's like one of the best feelings. Walking around the Target and like looking at all the groups of women together, because like one of my favorite things in the world is just a group of bitches hanging out.
Let's go, girls.
And like not even in like a weird like sexual way, just
Right,
like
just
I just
ladies
love
being ladies.
seeing ladies get
Like,
to
oh my
be
God, check this
free.
out. No.
I love it when they're like free, and that's why like most of my like friends are women or gays, like gay women, because
you don't have to be like guarded around them.
Yeah.
You know, you could just be yourself.
Yeah, especially like
dudes aren't like that all the time.
yeah, exactly. They all have to have.
It's all ego. It's all,
yeah, when there's no
projecting.
ego involved.
You gotta be, whatever. Let's not get into that.
Yeah, like shout out to our friend Morgan and shit like that. But like that's why like Morgan is one of my favorite people in the world, because like I love hanging out with just like all the lesbians and all that, because there's no, maybe there's some internal dynamics between all of them, but as like the straight dude hanging out with the like all of them, it never affects me. It never affects me.
It's tiring.
And I'm just
bro, dudes, it's just awful to hang around.
And what the fuck do I have to talk about? Shit, like who? I mean, now that I kind of like Shane Gillis and shit like that now. So like every
I kind of
so
grew on him a little bit too.
If I have to talk to like when I talk to my in-laws and stuff like that, I just be like, yeah, Theo Von, because like you'll get a clip every now and then of Theo Von being like, like with
and
Bernie
he's
Sanders.
funny.
They're all like
they are funny.
They're all.
They're professional comedians. Let's be honest.
They're
they may
even,
be stupid as fuck.
Yeah, and
they are.
And like Shane Gillis, I think we may have even fucking talked about this on the last episode. I don't even remember. But like Shane Gillis is class conscious.
Yeah, okay, I think we did talk about that.
Shane Gillis is class conscious.
He's low key woke.
Yeah, he's low key woke, but like not. But that's the difference. Is like,
but not in a shit lib.
Yeah, not in like a shit lib kind of woke way. He's woke in like a he's understands like rich people suck, and he understands the class dynamic because he's working class, and he has like a non. He may be like he may have some reactionary opinions, but it's like a come town or whatever. Those are all like all these like they don't have to be political or whatever. Mm-hmm. They're just people that like recognize. There's all these comedians that don't have to be like left-wing comedians. They're just people that are like class consciousness is just something that like exists because if you're smart enough to like craft jokes, you're probably smart enough to be like, man, this shit's kind of fucking crazy. When you look around,
like, okay, you guys all see this, right?
So like a big part of shit being crazy,
and
is
people can
capital.
change too,
Yeah, well, yeah.
And so
and we're all post woke now. The best part of like this new post woke era of people making this hard shift back to being like, oh, we can say the R word and shit again.
Yeah,
like this like whole reaction that way is that like I think that using someone's nationality or ethnicity is a perfectly acceptable descriptor. If I'm telling someone a story and I'm like, this fucking Albanian guy. You know what I mean? Like, that helps me narratively being able to say that.
Across the street is Albanian. This cafe, Macedonian.
Mm-hmm. And now that we're entering a post-woke era, I can be like, this group of Greeks.
Yeah.
And it's not, you know what I mean? It's not some, like, it's not fucking sketchy.
Yeah,
I can be like these fucking Catalonians, you know what I mean? These like these fucking Vietnamese that came in,
there's no bridge too far these days.
Yeah.
And they're all on fire, by the way. But
I think that that's one of the, and these are the ebbs and flows. Is we went super woke and people felt like, oh, you can't say anything, and then people were like, oh, you should be able to say everything, and now it's going to even out to where like I can say they were, this Persian driver cut me off, and I don't, get, Louis C.K.'d, but
but they're also the racist people who take advantage of that too.
Yeah,
and I think the wokeness of the past few years was all like Obama era, just kind of liberalism that was forced down our throats because the Democrat Party was just kind of like, this is the way it should be, and we should all just live like this instead and be accepted.
Yeah, because it's decency politics.
Yeah,
because you can sell representation in a market. And so if like since you can sell representation on the market, they like their reaction to that was, oh, so everything is sacred and all things are should be treated wholly
Right.
because those are now products.
Yeah.
Like the black identity, the gay identity, all these things are sacred and should be treated wholly because those are all products that we can sell now.
And I think the spook against that was that it was prosecuted against, like discrimination.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like you could get in trouble for doing shit like that. And they were like, oh, no. Now it's almost the other way around, you know?
Yeah,
Where it's like
because-
you can get discriminated against, or you can get into legal trouble for trying to be woke. You know what I mean? Like
well,
trying to
because-
show discretionary
what
diversity and stuff.
Yeah, sorry. What it comes down to is that like you could hold on, let me try to formulate this thought in my head.
Yeah.
So you can say you don't have to make any fundamental structural changes by being like you should hire more black people. Like so like that
Right.
So you don't have to make any fun. So that's a safe thing for the Democrats and shit to run on, and that's the same thing for progressives and like liberals to run on.
Right.
Because you don't have to make any fundamental structural changes. Like you can pass these bills that are representational and shit.
Just kinda like
and like you don't
common
have
sense
yeah,
laws.
this just like and
Yeah.
exactly common sense laws that like there is actual legislative work that needs to be done to undo structural biases and shit,
Right,
right?
of course.
And
Absolutely.
like that's what
It is
DEI and that's what that shit exists for, is to undo those structural things. But then they see that and they're like, okay, so then we should also, because we don't want to also start like raising the minimum wage, which would really help like impoverished communities.
Build more schools. We protest. Build more schools, less jails. Put money into education, not prisons. There's a fundamental problem with that approach, in my opinion.
Or like making food security a thing, like ensuring that there are healthy grocery stores and these like doing shit
Right.
like that
Instead
instead
of
of doing
needing food
those
kitchens
fundamental
and-
things.
Yeah.
We'll say, yeah, businesses have to hire these people. We're not going to say like how people from like inner city situations or people from
Right.
impoverished situations are going to get to the point where they can even apply to those jobs. We won't address that. We'll just say like you have to hire these people, but like we won't pave the way for them to go and apply.
Right.
And then so like not only that, but like we don't want to do more than that, but we'll also like do the Indigenous Peoples Day and do all these like representational
Yeah, it's all
things.
performative.
Yeah,
you know?
that
It's
are
just
performative.
Like, and Target is still capitalizing
And then,
at
like,
the time on like rainbow
Exactly.
clothing during Pride Month.
and
this
get mad
that.
at people for like fucking inane
It's
jokes
not that
and
they're
dumb
being
comedy
woke.
shit. Yeah,
It's that
that's
they're
all.
capitalizing on it and doing nothing about it.
Yeah, and that's all safe. You don't have to. You can. It's easy to yell at a comedian or yell at some celebrity. Like it's easy to mobilize some support, like around yelling at some celebrity who said some fucking dumb shitty thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, or it's easy to rally that support to obfuscate the fact that like no one's making a minimum wage and
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
fucking,
yeah.
you know what I
And
mean?
just,
It's
like,
easy to
ignore
do
the
those
issues,
dumbass
right.
shit, and it's easy to fight about these dumb fucking things.
And you know, another thing about that too is that if I believe people are so polarized in such a way that they think that if you say some dumb, let's say like a person like Shane Gillis, for example, if you say some dumb thing that's like racist, you have the opportunity to learn from that, you know? But some people will immediately put you in that category of, oh, he's just a racist right wing, this and that, he's a piece of shit, let's attack
Yeah.
him. And I'm not saying justify it or rationalize it.
Because
or
they
anything
get
like
some
that.
political enjoyment from that. That's
Right.
Yeah,
And that's
they-
what I'm saying. That's so
oh, yeah.
toxic and obnoxious. And then they start, and not to say that, you know, you can talk a Nazi out of being a Nazi. I'm not saying it's absolutely impossible, but it's almost not worth
It's
your
not
time.
worth it, yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, if somebody says some offhand, ignorant shit that they could be told, hey, man, this is the reason why that's not, you know what I mean? People put themselves on either side of the aisle so starkly.
Yeah.
That you almost can't even see the humanity in somebody else and the fallibility in that person. And the big hypocrisy that I want to point out is that people will always criticize other people and never put that same critical lens on themselves if they're doing the same shit, but they think that they're on the right side, right?
Yeah.
And
Well, this-
liberals are guilty of
Well,
this
this is
as
what we
well.
were talking about last episode too. Is that like people just want a new master? So there's certain kind. There's like a big swath of people that like they just want the shoe to be on the other foot. So
Right.
like they just, you know, if they're liberals,
Mea
they
culpa.
wanted to be able to chastise what they viewed as degenerate Republicans. And so when they want power so that they can be like wag their finger and shit like that.
And feel that moral superiority.
And then the inverse is true, that all these shitbag Republicans want to be like, look at all these degenerate gay and trans liberals.
And they literally want to kill them all.
Yeah. And then,
so that's like they're objectively evil, but it's like you're not above them. Well, I mean,
but that's the problem is that like liberalism is becoming the same way now.
It's
that, like,
just like for like.
These motherfuckers online are being like, the Palestinians are getting what they deserve because Muslims in Dearborn in fucking Dearborn, Massachusetts, didn't vote for
Kamala.
Didn't vote for Kamala. Like they're literally like taking glee. In, like,
the talking points of the
being
Democrat
like,
Party.
Oh, look at all these Italians. Look at all these Latinos. It's like look at all these Latinos.
Them too,
that
though.
did. Yeah,
let's be real.
They deserve whatever they get. But when like they're being like, oh, look at all these Latinos that didn't vote for Kamala. It looks like they're getting what they take glee.
Yeah.
They take glee in it too because they want the same kind of.
It's just like a fucking game. It's just like watching a football game on TV. You're like, yeah, fuck my seat, but they're doing the same thing. They're just hitting
it's all
each other.
enjoyment politics.
They're all banging
and
each
shit
other
like
up.
that.
But one side at this point, if I were to use a football analogy, one side wants the other side exterminated. Ultimately.
Yeah.
And the other one is just like, why can't we all just get along?
I mean, the problem is
why
that
can't you all just be liberal and understand that liberalism is superior? And the Republicans are like, well, what if we killed everybody that's not a Republican?
Yeah.
But not to be too polarizing in that front either. But
no, I mean, I don't.
It's just kind of hard to.
I just don't know if it's true. I feel I think that like liberals. I think there are a lot of liberals that like it's the same thing that like they wish they're like when they see a hurricane coming or when they see like Texas went through those blizzards.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
They want. I think that there's a huge swath of like what you would consider like moderate Democrat liberals who take glee in the suffering of red-blooded Republicans. They like in the same way that those red-blooded Republicans take glee in the suffering. There is a difference.
More demographics that they hate.
There is
though.
a difference.
That's the only thing. Is that's equivalent.
Well, I think like not to put words in your mouth, but to kind of add to your point is what I think that you're getting at is that moderate Republicans, and there are certain moderate Republicans and certain moderate liberals that want to see the suffering of the other side. But the further right you go, the more it becomes an extermination mission. Mm-hmm. The further right you go, the more someone has to be subjugated and someone has to be exterminated. Whereas the further left you go, it exclusively becomes inclusionary, like the further left you go, and not inclusionary in that bullshit, like everyone gets a chance at a piece of the pie, but the further left you go, everyone gets a piece of the
Equal
pie
rights,
to the point where the pie is all.
Yeah, everybody gets all for one and one for all.
And so that is the distinction, and that people like try to market it as if like the Democrats want that too, but what we're realizing now is that a lot of those Democrats don't want that.
Yeah,
they just want
as bad.
They're just as mad and just
fucking
as
ridiculous.
bad.
And that's my point. Is especially the establishment Democrats, or at least the ones on mainstream media as well too.
Like Hakeem Jeffries, who's going out there being like, "Oh, the left hates me," being like, "Dude, you should be catering to them." The left, need
just
the
alienate
left.
them.
You
That's
need
a great
the left.
strategy.
Like, you know what I mean?
Christ.
Yeah, they need to be poised. They need to be poised for the coming economic storm, and they're not in position to. Because there is going to be economic fallout from all the shit that Trump's doing. There is going to be radical shakeups, and there will be a huge decrease in standard of living. And the Democrats, if they were smart, would be positioned to be like an alternative to that. But right now, they're being like the left. They're just being like the leftists mad at us.
The Democrats and the liberals, I think, are what I'm criticizing the most in the sense that they don't have self-critical analysis.
Yeah.
And Schumer is a Palestinian as far as I'm concerned. He's become a Palestinian. He used to be Jewish. He's not Jewish anymore. He's a Palestinian. Okay.
And that's what and it's just
there should be struggle sessions. There should be shit-lived struggle sessions. Like they should just be out there in dunce hats. And Hakeem Jeffries should be up there with Nancy Pelosi with a dunce hat on. And you should be like, you made too much money in stocks last year.
You're gaining the stock market too much, Nancy. You have to get this spanking.
And they should all be on C-SPAN. Can you imagine if C-SPAN held struggle sections, dude? That would be perfect.
Dude, C-SPAN struggle sessions. That's what this country is really missing.
If there was C-SPAN SS, well, we shouldn't call it that because there will probably be C-SPAN SS.
Yeah, that's the other side. They're going to be struggle sessions for...
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be. Isn't that the weird thing? Is that the further left you go, you're like fucking liberal Democrats. They should be.
They should be in a
struggle session.
good.
And then the further right you go, you're like, yeah, we want to string up our political dissonants or opponents.
Well, that is, I think.
They can't catch a break because they are the fucking problem. It's neoliberalism.
Well, no, because liberals are the only ones that believe that, like, liberals believe in free speech. Like, yeah. I personally think free speech is bullshit, but I don't think free speech is bullshit in the way that, like, moderate Democrats want to censor people. I think that free speech is bullshit in that, like, in an ideal, like, if I were chairman, that, like, you wouldn't be able to say fascist shit.
Yeah, right.
I wouldn't let it into
you can say
consciousness.
stupid things too. The freedom of speech also means the freedom to say the stupidest fucking things that you could ever think. And just be objectively wrong.
And I'm saying in a perfect society,
right.
you wouldn't get that.
No, I understand that.
Get that opportunity.
I would put
you in a camp.
No, if you're Ben Shapiro, if you're Matt Walsh, and you're like, "What is a woman?" I'm like, "Hey, you need to stop talking."
Be like re-education.
you need to not have a platform and shut your fucking mouth.
That was the whole point of, like.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to revision history of the black book of communism.
This is the problem with, like, you and I. This is the problem with you and I not being media trained and not being.
We can't not.
Like, I don't know if what we're saying is incredibly incriminating, if it's alienating, if there are people that would hear this and be like. I don't know if this means, like, we wouldn't be able to, like, sell ads, because, like, it would be cool to put ads on our podcast. But, like, I don't know if we'd be able to sell ads.
Hey, we still live in capitalism.
I don't know if we could transition from, like, a Manscaped ad into talking about how we need re-education camps for reactionaries.
That'd be a tough segue.
But
that would be tough.
I don't know. I think it would be good.
Hey, it's all in jest, right? This is a fun podcast.
That's the thing, is we're a comedy podcast.
We're having
and we're
fun.
doing a bit, and, like, it's all kind of like a fun bit. And all
in
that.
Minecraft.
Is there any other, like, we got off on?
We got to talk about fun stuff.
Yeah, we're supposed to do fun in the beginning, and then
we started talking about mutual
on all
aid.
the serious shit. But we transitioned too quick. Is there any other, like, other than Severance is really the only thing that I've been watching? Is there any, like, media that you're into right now? I just feel like it's so few and far between.
I can't really speak on that because I've been watching a lot of, like, World War II stuff.
Just World War II shit?
It's my own little jouissance of, just kind of being like, how the fuck did all this shit happen? And what happened as a result of it? And this and that. Not like it's going to happen again immediately, but.
Dude, like.
It's good to study history. That's all I'm going to say.
No, I mean, I think, like, we're both in that age where, like, World War II shit is really cool. I really struggle because, like, I've been listening to a lot of. I've been, like, listening to this one, like. It's by Stephen Kotkin. It's just a Stalin biography, and it's just talking about Stalin. The first book is like Stalin growing up and then his rise to power and shit. And the book I'm in right now, which is a 48-hour audiobook, is the years between him taking power, and then, like, or establishing power, and then, like, Lenin's death, and then into waiting for Hitler. Like, that's what these years are. But the problem is that it's, like, radically anti-communist.
Yep.
And so it's hard to learn about. It's a really good in-depth. It gives you great, like, statistics about shit, but everything that I read in it or listen to in it, I have to go back and check, because he'll be citing, like, some fucking Polish Nazi newspaper.
Like, what are you being fed this propaganda?
Yeah,
right
like
now?
he'll be like, and Stalin was known to, like, you know, fucking shake his, you know, rub his dick on fucking, you know, like, it'll be some shit like that, and then you'll check, and the thing will be like fucking Polish Luftwaffe, like fucking like a Nazi publication or some shit, and I'll be like, this was your source, buddy? Like, this is your fucking source, dude?
I think ultimately my analysis of World War II is that
Stalin was great.
He awesome.
He won the war.
He did.
They did.
No, it's just like, it was bad. Like, there was a lot of, like, revolutionary ideas that were happening, and especially with the overtaking in power from all sides, from whether it was communists or fascists or just, you know, America as an imperial power as well. There was just a lot of really fucked up shit that happened because of all of it. And I'm not sitting here being like, well, why can't we all just learn from our mistakes and kumbaya and peace and love? But it's like, they've learned. They have learned. These people in power have learned from what happened there, not to be so stark and in your face about it. I think that there's a lot of covert fascism and whatnot occurring. I mean, I'm not trying to get back into the politics.
I don't think they've learned, Because like if you listen to anything about what's going on in Europe now, like with the AFD moving into like getting like winning large seats and shit
You don't
like
think
that.
it's? I mean, yeah.
I don't think they've
they're all
learned
right with
because
it.
it's not about like history's repeating because we are in the same system. Like
we just fucking had a genocide. Like, I mean, how can you justify that from any angle? Even if you're like an imperial power, whether it's
that's how you justify it. You're an imperial power, and you don't view the global South as you don't view those people as people. That's truly what it is. You don't view Palestinians as people. You don't view people in Africa as people. You don't view Asians as people. That's truly what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Like we think that like the world has grown beyond that. We really think that.
Yeah. And we have not learned at all.
But we haven't. There are people in power. There are people that can who ideologically, there are people in military positions. There are people in government positions, elected and non-elected, all across the board, who have ideological adherence to this idea that this people are different and that like America has exceptionalism or Europe has exceptionalism. Like the whole. You should listen to Yanis Varoufakis' book "Adults in the Room," which is about his time as Greek finance minister. It's really good because you realize that like. At a certain point, Greece gets completely shafted and fucked because the German finance minister at the time, Wolfgang Schäuble or whatever his name is, he just had an ideological belief that people around the Mediterranean were ants and they were and like the Germans were grasshoppers or the other way around or some shit. Like they had a belief.
Just some weird
He had some
rationalization.
weird ideological belief that like people function different. And yeah, true, cultures are different.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean we're a global society now. So yeah, so this culture's different, this culture's different. So what? Build a fucking factory. Like
Right.
there's not like there's ways to fucking make money and so that people don't go poor. But it really came down to like Greece ended up with fucking horrible austerity and one of the worst economic situations because the German chancellor at the time, who controlled all the shit, had some insane
Cultural
national beliefs.
That kind of just to go off on a weird leg here because we keep talking about politics. Let's go into the hippy dippy realm. So, way back in the day when I was like kind of spiritual and psychedelic and all this stuff, I used to be into Terrence McKenna, and there was a quote that he had. He's the mushroom guy, the guy who would trip fucking massive nuts on the mushrooms and be like, "There's a spirit world out there," and this and that. He would always say that culture is like the bane of human existence. And I always used to sit there and think about it because he would explain it in these weird terms and stuff and try to make it the psychedelic thing. And I'm like, what the fuck are you trying to talk about? But I'm almost wondering if, like, that's the problem, We don't have a one world, new world order culture, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like
one world
a
communism,
monoculture.
The monoculture.
Yeah, we do need
We got all these multiple cultures. They're like, I'm racist because you're different. And this and that. You don't like this and that, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, no, there should be
Everybody.
a monoculture.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Culture he's kind of hitting with that one. He was kind of hitting with that one.
It should be like
Everybody
there
should
should
take
be a
mushrooms.
monoculture and it should be machismo. It should be Latin. It should be Latin socialism,
dude.
It should be like Venezuelan, Cuban style, like
Yes.
Marxist socialism.
Like,
so we're like, we're out there and we're like, the devil wasn't like, like they're just like where they're fucking like being like America's the devil. Like that should be just how it is across the board. There should be one unified monoculture, and it should be like. Yeah, like we love our people and we love the earth, and then like also like, yeah.
Aprovecho para condenar de nuevo, desde el fondo de mi alma y de mis vísceras, al Estado de Israel. Maldito seas, Estado de Israel. Maldito sea.
What if, dude, you ever think about sometimes...
It's jokes, people.
We're just having jokes. But do you ever think about sometimes how, like, the way that communism has formed is in reaction to imperial colonial powers and fascism and whatnot, and that if that didn't exist, that communism wouldn't exist, and leftism and socialism, all that stuff wouldn't exist as an idea.
Are you?
Then what would exist? Like what would be the idea?
Oh, okay.
I'm not trying to go.
I thought you were asking me like, do you think that like if capitalism didn't exist and communism would exist? And I was about to be like,
no, I mean,
yeah, that's
no,
the whole
no.
fucking point of
No,
it.
that's-
I was about
I know
to
what I'm
lose my
saying.
mind on you. I was about to be
No,
like,
dude, no, that's not at all what I was saying.
No, I get what you're saying now. That like, what would the alternative be?
That's what I was saying.
like-
Is like communism obviously is a
Yeah,
response
if
to
Marx had
capitalism.
never written.
So let's say,
Capital,
if capitalism didn't exist, and
What
what
would
would
be
be the
anarchism?
ideal human structure to exist that wouldn't even preclude, or that would preclude all of those things?
Dude, the
that wouldn't
ideal human
facilitate?
structure I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
It's like primitive communism or something, you know?
Or no, wait. What do you? I'm confused with what you're asking. Because I would say if
I guess if you were to take all ideology away, what is the ideal human structure of living in this world? Is it anarcho-primitivism?
I guess it just depends on how big the world is. Like if we switched right now and transitioned with everything that we have and how the world exists as it is with all the people in the world, like if we just tomorrow woke up with a brand new system, it would have to be. I think it would have to be some sort of state, like some sort of communism.
Yeah,
with
like nomadic.
Well, not communism, socialism, because a state would have to exist. Like right now, the way that because of how much money there is in the world, and because of the way that things are structured, even if you took capitalism out of that, like with what we have right now, if all the governments tomorrow decided a new thing, it would have to be socialism because there would still have to be a state. Yeah, that's why I've always.
There still are commodities, and there are still people that need these things.
Now, if we said like if
there wouldn't be a monoculture though. I don't think.
Yeah, if feudalism, no, there wouldn't be a monoculture. I don't know what a society would look like if there was never capitalism. Because there would have to be a market and there would have to be exchanges.
Yeah, there'd still be trading.
It'd still be. I think feudalism might just be the perfect system.
like having a king.
Yeah, having like a king or whatever.
Knowing your place. No, because they used to say that too about peasants. They were like, they had more time in the day and they worked less and they had freer lives. And I'm just like, are you just trying to condition us to be peasants?
Exactly. Are you just trying to condition us that at that point it'll work? But like, I don't know. Because if we had a monoculture, then we wouldn't get like, I wouldn't get Arab jeweler videos.
And that's true, yep.
I wouldn't get those like Africa videos that I love so much.
Yeah.
So where it'll be like AI video of like bless the spirits because and then it'll be like some crazy shit like bless the spirits on this day the goat lord showed up and it'll be like this insane AI video of a bunch of people in like an African village like running around and shit like that and you'll see like some obviously AI generated thing. And it'll just be like it'd be everyone fucking freaking out, and you just know that like they just had a bunch of people run around and scream, and then like they just edited thing because they have those like Chinese like TikTok camps and shit like that. They, like,
yeah, you're right.
I mean it's true.
I forgot about those.
Created now what is Africa's first AI powered music album. I know.
Oh my God! Wow!
It's crazy.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, the algorithms are just bananas these days.
That's why I keep going back to it, because like I always want to know what's on someone's like feed. Because
it's like that's their birth chart. Yeah. That's how you can know who that person is. And that's why I get worried sometimes when I get all these booby videos on my Instagram Explore page because I'm like I'm not looking up boobies.
They have to be doing some sort of eye thing because like I will see the booby things and I'll be like I'll look at them while I'm scrolling past, but I won't like linger on them at all because I don't want it to train. But then like all my posts are booby posts.
Dude,
I'm like,
it's like obviously you're gonna look because it's in your face, and then it's all of a sudden
that's
it's
why
like,
I think
you were there for 30 seconds,
bro. That's why I think they're tracking your eyes. Dude.
I know. I'm just like, you know what? I just got this new phone case too that if I'm looking at my phone to prevent eye tracking, but the other side of it has a thing that can cover my phone. But I don't think that, again, it's not like a privacy thing. It's just to protect my I don't know why I decided to bring that up. But I like that with my laptop too. It's got the little slide in the front to kind of stop the FBI from watching me do my depraved business, you know?
Yeah, isn't it insane that they think that like Mangione got caught from like facial recognition on the McDonald's thing?
It doesn't like I don't know. I'm not to be a conspiracy theorist, but like the eyebrows don't match up. You know, I'm like I'm not convinced.
Yeah, no.
But the manifesto thing, you know, he's like, oh, he wrote about it.
Well, apparently
like,
he's
everybody's radicalized.
Apparently he's like I don't think he was radicalized. He was one of those like rationalist dudes. So like his whole idea was that like he was like on that like Huberman kind of like. He was doing like logical, like rationality is some fucking.
But it was also because he had like a bunch of, gripes with the medical industry.
Not to like
stuff he was going through.
Yeah, not to name drop a podcast again, but people should definitely check out the True or Not episode about. They go all into his like ideology and what it actually comes down to, and it's like pretty informative because it just goes to show that like radical things are not being done by people on the left. The radical things are being done by people that like are either that like Thomas Crook did the Trump dude they like try to kill Trump and shit like that. This is all done by these fucking off kilter motherfuckers as opposed to someone with like a political ideology.
When I know we talked about this a long ass time ago, especially when it happened, but do you think that was a fucking like blood pack or something? Because this motherfucker, they were always like, oh, where's the scar? Where's the scar on his ear?
Yeah, I guess that's true. I don't know. I guess I just fucking stopped caring.
Yeah, because I'm like, if it was okay, so let's say if it was
like,
let's say if it was a fake, right? And they just had that kid as a patsy, and they just killed the fuck out of that kid. Because normally you're not, you try to capture them and question them.
He was some like Black Rock kid or some shit like that.
think
Like, he was in
so.
like Raytheon videos or something.
They fucking shot the shit out of that.
Yeah,
kid.
no, but isn't it crazy that like it doesn't even fucking matter?
It doesn't
like,
matter.
You know
It really
what I mean? Like
doesn't.
it didn't even really affect his polling. Like he just.
Well, are you sure? Because I feel like everyone was like, "Whoa."
No.
An
Like
assassination?
yeah, I think he had like a small
attempt?
bump, and then like within like a week or two, it had completely disappeared from the news cycle because
Yeah.
that's when
Nobody
like,
really gave a fuck about the
that's when
second
like
one that
Biden
much.
dropped out and shit.
Yeah, that
It's
is
like,
true. Yeah,
they completely like. I mean, again, I guess this doesn't even. He fucking got shot. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
It
matter.
just fucking matter.
Isn't it so exhausting? These news cycles are just like never ending. There's just always some crazy shit's happening every week. You know?
Yeah.
And not even during Trump's presidency, but it's just like they keep pumping it into you, and people just are so like addicted to consuming news and staying informed and shit that they're just like, did you hear about what happened? It's like, no, I fucking live in the real world sometimes. Leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah, and it's because it's never even like, did you hear that they found like the two guys that inspired Beavis and Butthead, and they show you a video and it's like an AI Beavis.
They'd get me with that. They would get me with that shit.
Did you fucking hear that they like, dude, they're fucking sea creatures that never came up for 1,000 years came up and they're warning us about.
Dude, that's Facebook though. I see that shit on Facebook all the time, and I'm like, fuck, man, I can't.
Apparently that's been happening. Apparently, like actually, like
because of
4
AI.
deep sea creatures have like 4 different like never before 5 like never before seen species or like only rarely seen species have like surfaced.
And it's just like
with like warnings for mankind.
I remember before AI and all the misinformation age of politics that have occurred thanks to the Democrats and Republicans, that you would just see shit like that. You're like, whoa, scientific discovery. They found something new. That's crazy. Oh, my God. And then you'd look at the article and you'd be like, oh, my God, this is from a real reputable source. Now every time I see anything, I'm like, that's fucking AI, dude. I don't care. I don't give a fuck anymore.
Dude, I like Instagram has great AI videos.
Yeah, I love it.
Like,
I love it.
I sent you one today that was the babies, like celebrities, and it was like baby Billie Eilish, and it was
no,
like,
I hate that one. I know exactly what you're
it was
talking
like
about.
baby Billie Eilish, and then the baby Weeknd looked insane because he had big old gloves on, and then out of nowhere, fucking baby Elvis Presley was in there.
Yeah, no, they do throwbacks.
Like, it was like Elvis Presley, but then it was like Billie Eilish, Taylor Swift, Cardi B, Rihanna, like all these fucking artists, and then Elvis Presley, and then it ended on Chris Brown. And I was like, what the fuck,
dude? I don't know.
Like, how the fuck?
There's,
I mean, it's good. There's one. Sorry to cut you off, but there's like this series. There's this genre of like creepy AI videos.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I like
it'll
those.
be like I do too. Where it'll be like a video from a cave, and they'll edit in
Yeah.
like something coming out of the darkness of the cave, and it'll be like some like giant like owl monster.
That's what fucking horror movies and shit
That's
are
what
anyway. It's
that's
just
what it
using your
should be.
imagination against you.
That's what it should be. Is like like, you know,
Just
you
do
have
weird
some
shit.
fucking. It shouldn't be used to like replace, you know, fucking storyboard artists and drafts. But like,
Yeah.
if you just have some
But
fucking crazy idea that you're like, I need to create in the
I
world.
don't want to see baby celebrities. 100%. I'm okay with the baby videos.
But you
where they're-
also don't want to see dog countries. And I love dog countries.
No, I do love that. What are you talking about? I
okay,
shared
alright,
that.
okay.
That was awesome. That was
I
great.
love dog countries.
Because it's not just the dog one, too.
Switzerland, and it's just a big fucking corgi, and he's just like really
I saw
buff.
a different one that was different animals for different countries, too. There would be like iguanas and shit. And I was
Oh
like-
yeah, or like
That was
no,
really
that
fun.
remember when I sent you where it was like Saudi Arabia and it's like 2 camels in suits. And shit
Yeah,
like
that was a little on the nose.
2 like gangster
But
camels.
sometimes you
or
would get
some shit.
random ones, like, you know, there'd be like a dragonfly for like Bulgaria or some shit. I'm
Oh
like,
yeah,
what?
yeah.
But anyway, the babies fighting animals. That shit goes hard. The kung fu, like I know.
Oh
listen,
yeah,
I'm
where it's
against
little
violence.
babies and they're, yeah.
I'm against violence for animals, and I'm all for animals' rights. You know, I'm a fucking vegan schmegan over here. But the AI videos, because I know it's fake, right? It's like watching a movie. You know, it's not really that actor getting killed. I see a baby whooping a giant fucking rooster's ass. Hell yeah, fuck yeah. That's why I opened this app. You know what I mean?
That's how it should be. Yeah,
That's the way it should be.
That's what AI should be used for. Is like
we're never going to escape
pregnant Dr. Mario
commodification.
and then babies fighting animals.
No, dude. I hate that. I hate it.
Pregnant Dr. Mario, Lady Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, babies fighting animals.
That is awesome. Lady Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Yeah.
I never saw that one.
Yeah, because
that's badass. Because it doesn't exist yet.
It doesn't exist yet, but it will when someone gets it into the algorithm. And shit like that.
I can't even. I'm stuck on that. I can't even think of anything else right now.
Well, that's what like I don't mean to constantly derail Chuff Chat with like when I always like want to be like, what's going on in the media? What's like what are we consuming? Because
we're not doing a great job.
To avoid doomerism, like what are we consuming? And then I realized that like what we're consuming is just like whatever we're being fed out of convenience.
Right, and we also like it.
Oh yeah, it's nothing but dopamine, dude. Like it's like those little merge games that I like to play.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just fucking sit there and I know it's a bad game, and I know that like I have to watch an ad to get 20 more energy. Like
and you just put up with it.
I was just fucking like, yeah, okay, I'll pop this ad and won't pay attention to it, and I'll smoke a little weed while the ad's playing, and then once it's done playing, I look back at it again and waste 20 more energy and watch another ad. And it's just
you're
like
back in the game, you lock in.
I know it's a fucking dopamine cycle, like a dopamine loop, and it's like I guess I can't even. I got no choice.
You heard of locking in, but I'm trying to introduce locking out. Am I right? Can I get back on my soapbox real quick?
Yeah,
I was gonna go off about unplugging and shit, but like, damn, it's really necessary.
Locking out. Yo, because what's the fucking Elvis? You're a Carly B boy.
What?
You know,
What song?
No, there's not one song. It's like yo and I'm stepping out or whatever. You're gonna be a
Billy
fat
Joel.
Jack Billy. You know, I can't. Man.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you know exactly.
I know it's not. I don't know if it's that Billy Joel song, Moving Out.
Or is it Elvis Costello?
You could have been a dun.
That's Elvis Costello. Yeah, you could have been a
dun.
Yeah, is that Elvis Costello?
Yeah,
goddamn. People.
I don't know that song.
People are gonna, dude, fucking smart. Our smart listeners, they're gonna be hearing this and be screaming at the.
Like, I know that song, you idiot.
Yeah, you fucking stupid fuck. You piece of fuck.
You don't know. I thought you were musicians, you liars.
Dude, I mean, as far as music goes, I've been in this fucking. I've just been this like we got a few more minutes left. I'm just gonna I've been in this like low. Like garage rock kick. I don't know what to call it because I've been like listening to Modern Lovers, but then I've also just been like listening to like garage rock's around because it's not modern. It's all shit that's like.
And it wasn't new wave either.
No. It's like just like they're just like rock and roll bands. Like I don't know what else to call it.
Just rock.
Yeah,
bands.
what the hell would you even call Elvis? Because I haven't been listening to Elvis Costello, but like that kind of sound. Of like just fucking like, you know, just. Kind of jangly guitar, but singer-songwriter shit like Van Morrison, like that kind of shit.
There's a big ambiguity in the classic rock era with genre
and shit like that. Because the only things that I could think of is like, oh, this is like some bands are hard rock and metal.
I guess,
and then everything else is all under like some giant blanket category.
Yeah, that's why I was complaining about genres earlier. I'm like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, I think that I think that my defense of genres is that they're a marketing term. So they have use value as a marketing term. I don't think egg punk has that.
Okay.
I think that like the majority of people.
No, it is kind of a niche term. And
it's a fucking bullshit term. It is a niche term and it's a bullshit term to me because it's just like it's so self. It's like so self-aggrandizing, but like because it's like. You knighted yourself. This like
so you're saying it's kind of like hipster, it's like self-celebratory.
Yeah, it's self and because people in that scene have named it that thing, and because it comes from the era of the internet, it just feels like we have to put a label on what we're doing. But it's like you're just making garage rock.
It's so easy to become elitist about it.
Every
too,
egg punk band is a garage rock band.
Well, you know, it's funny. It's just like sped up, more punky, just fucking Devo. That's really all it is.
Yeah, it's garage. It's like garage rock. Yeah.
And I don't hate it, but it's at the same time, it's like it's not an island. It's not its own special thing. It's like it's just fast-paced rock, really.
Yeah, no, there's tons of fucking bands that like. That's just a sound that's not new.
I don't
know. That's my whole
like
point.
Riff rock. I don't know what else. Like we keep
but to me, it's like not. To me, egg punk conceptually is like a sound that's like it's not new, and so it's just a bunch of kids that like.
Kind of like with hyperpop.
Decide.
Too, you know?
Well, hyperpop I think has its distinction.
It has become distinct.
I think hyperpop sounds like something. Like when someone says hyperpunk or hyperpop, you know what that sounds like. But and I know what egg punk sounds like. But I know what it sounds like in as much as like it isn't anything different. It's like not you've just took a bunch of bands that do sound like this, but that have existed forever and then decided to make a scene out of it. But it's like not an actual like thing.
Yeah.
It's not something that like it's I guess it's not organic. Like
what would you call
organic.
that? If that would be the opposite of like a monoculture, that'd be like a
punk when like in like CBGB's era punk, right? Like was like Blondie and also the Ramones and also Talking Heads and also Television and also fucking Suicide. So it was like none of those bands sound alike. Like not a single one of those bands sounds alike. So, you know,
but they were all punk.
But they were all punk because it was like it was a scene thing. Like there was a scene, there was a community, it was all something organic. And then now we've gotten to the point where like you have all these little. I think
like
metal,
subdivisions of the punk
I think
genre.
metal was the worst. Yeah, exactly. I think metal was the worst offender of this, and then it became normalized among other genres because
metal became death metal, then black metal,
yeah,
then
because
speed metal, then thrash metal.
Metalheads are so fucking obsessed with making distinctions between shit.
You're so right.
And like metal is one of the few genres where like.
Punk definitely got infiltrated by it too.
But that's what I'm saying, exactly. Punk got infiltrated with that ethos where like punk, the
hardcore, all that
punk
stuff.
should just be punk.
Metalcore.
And like punk Against Me is punk, and then also Black Flag is punk, and then also Blondie's punk.
Exactly.
Like that's how that should exist, and Joyce Maynard's punk. Like that's how that should function, and it makes sense, right? Metal should be power metal and death metal, like should have all those little things.
Yeah.
That's how metal operates, and the metal is healthy in doing that.
And
like,
it is
makes sense, right? Totally makes sense. But then what happened is like the further we became and the further everything like became more niche and all this shit is everyone decided they wanted to give everything the metal treatment.
Right.
Where then like electronic got the metal treatment and it became dubstep and all these fucking things.
Grindcore is technically punk and metal. You know?
Yeah, yeah, like, and because they wanted to fucking make all these distinctions and
but
shit.
But it sounds like metal to me.
Yeah, and then that's when you get to the point where you got egg punk, and egg punk is just like that's just fucking punk, dude. Like
it's just punk.
Yeah, like you're missing the point of punk by wanting to be like this is egg punk.
That's why I was I didn't mean to be dismissive either when I was talking about genres. I'm like nothing fucking matters. It doesn't matter. It's just kind of like it's all inconsequential and it's just made up.
Yeah, it's all made up and bullshit and arbitrary. In the same way that like all language is made up and bullshit and arbitrary.
Yeah, in that sense. But
that's what's tough about it.
To the opposite degree. Words do have impact. Words do matter, right?
Okay, so I guess this, like, I think
so there might actually be necessity for it, right?
No, I think this is what to go back and like prove my own point.
Okay.
From this angle now,
go ahead.
Because you've just kind of like you've given me fodder, you've given me ammo to fight.
Window for you.
Yeah, you've given me ammo to fight with. Like, I think that in the same way that I think astrology is real because the things that astrology describes function for people who believe in them.
Yes.
Like astrology, like whether or not
it's
the
real
stars,
to the people.
whether or not a horoscope is actually the stars determining that, a horoscope 9 out of 10 times is accurate. And for like someone like shouting on our friend Morgan again, we have friends who like live astrologically
and they practice
and it works.
Art of astrology.
So our language. Astrology is the language that we impose on this thing that works.
Love that.
So genre is this language we impose on this phenomenon.
Music. Right.
Yeah, this phenomenon that happens in music, which is all these different sounds and things develop. That's a phenomenon of music. So genre is the language we use to describe that. Why egg punk doesn't work is because it doesn't function that way. It doesn't describe anything different. It's this idea of it is indie. It is like indie.
I would say that.
Indie is the breakdown of the function of genre because indie is a useless term.
Yeah, it's
indie describes a time of music. It does not describe a genre of music. But it got adopted to where now indie is used for so many things. And it's like, no, indie made sense when indie only meant the Shins and Arcade Fire and shit like that. But now that indie means everything that's independent. It is now a useless term and does not function because it has no use value in the way that like astrology does. You know what I mean? So like egg punk to me is a useless term the same way that it's like if you were going to make up a new astrological sign.
Mm-hmm.
Like you like
Orphalacum or whatever.
Yeah, if you were going to be like, okay, now the bear Ursa is an astrological sign.
That's an interesting point too. I wanted to talk about indie, but now that we talk about that new astrology sign that was, I mean, it wasn't new. It was like part of what, like Babylonian astrology or something, and they brought it up. They're like, this is actually the 13th sign or whatever. It's like nobody wants that. Nobody cares about that because, like you said,
function.
It's not a part of their rhetoric and the way that they understand and they describe reality. You know?
Yeah. And that's when we had this whole.
It's gonna keep doing that.
I'm
though.
sorry, listeners, but me and Kali B had this like kind of like we both got off into a pseudo rant between texts about this whole idea of like egg punk as a genre, and like I know this is a useless conversation.
I wasn't defending that either. I was just kind of like genres are kind of.
I know the specifics of this conversation are useless.
Yeah,
but I think the broader thing that we're talking about is like has a point in that to me.
Conceptual
that is a distillation of what I told you in text message, where it was all of the forms, none of the content. Okay. We are in Plato's cave and we're seeing shadows on the wall.
Okay, I got you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we have gone back.
And it
into
spells
the
name
cave.
of new genres, but it's the same thing.
Egg punk is a shadow on the wall that is devoid of any actual content. There's so many things now that are just like shadows on the wall of like, you know, whether they be like these personalities that people adopt or be these things. It's like the forms, but there's no content behind like this.
I like that. That's a very strong analogy. That's a very strong analogy. I kind of understand what you're saying a lot better now.
You feel good about going out on that?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, because I have not been watching anything new, and I don't really think I'm going to anytime soon. Besides, maybe Severance. And
so I would recommend Severance.
The only new thing that I've been eagerly wanting to check out, and this may make me out to sound like a piggish ass dude, but I've been wanting to watch The Substance.
Substance is good. Substance is really good.
And it's like, yeah, of course, there's
really
nude scenes, and I don't care.
It's fantastic.
I heard it was like a psychological mind.
Yeah,
fuck, right?
and it has like because those are the kinds of movies I like. That there are ones that you can be like head ass and psychoanalytic about.
Yeah,
and that is absolutely one. That movie's fucking fantastic.
Okay, because I have a copy of it downloaded. Oops, don't throw me into jail. Hey, whoa. Hey,
you got a screener of it because you're in SAG after.
Right,
so
I'm a SAG card member.
Yeah,
holder.
You got a screener of it. So
I'm a member holder.
Yeah, but yeah, I want to see Brutalist. Honora was good. Like as far as like Oscar movies
that was
or
like, 3 hours long, isn't it?
Brutalist.
Yeah,
it's even got an intermission. Apparently, it's an intense movie. So
no, I heard it was great. I just I have to prepare myself to watch 3 hours of a movie.
Anytime I think about Adrian Brody, I just think about that SNL of him like
the Italian.
Of him, no, not
that
Italian
wasn't even
one.
a skit.
Of him when he was just decided to introduce someone in the fucking patois or whatever, when he was dressed up like a reggae guy.
When he was introducing a musical artist, yeah, that was crazy.
And he just did it all in like bumbleclot.
You're mine, Jamaica, man, you know, Rastafari, you know, you got the whole family in the house, you know, me got Sean Peter, you know, you got Sean Paul, you got Sean Mary, you got Sean John, you know, we all in the house now, man. You know, respect, all I respect, you know, me respect, me next spec, me knee spec, me ankle spec, you know. Yeah, we got a great show, you know. You know, Kingston massive, yeah. But, kill about the boy. Yeah, man. We got the whole crew now, you know. I gotta give a big up, enough respect, a dancehall players, you know. And like Sean John. Kill man.
Oh, dude, that's fucking great. But do you remember that video that you would always send me?
Yeah.
Of him, hey, Chandani, to all my friends. And he would just be sitting there drinking a fucking glass of like Hennessy or something.
Yeah, that's like was like him on Snapchat. That was like
you became that guy. Did you know that?
Oh no, I did. You became the DJ Khaled Snapchat persona.
I changed a lot.
And then I became the Brody. I became the Adrian Brody persona.
Oh fuck! I wasn't ready.
So salute to all my friends.
Salute Chandani.
Salute to all my friends.
Chandani.
God, I gotta find those now because I'll have to.
That video was
I just
so
had
good.
to give myself. I like as an editing job, just gave myself like 4 clips to edit in. 'Cause not only will I have to edit in the Adrian Brody doing the bumbleclot, but I'll have to also edit in like a 1 or 2, another one or a major key, and then I'll have to also hunt down.
You should do the fuckboy. I took off the hinges and put them in the fuckboy's hands. That shit, because there was actually like a comparative dialectic that I was watching of this guy who was talking about like. Some philosophy and some theory and stuff, and they were comparing it to like DJ Khaled.
I took the hinges and I put it in the fuckboy's hands that was trying to lock the door.
I'll have to send you that video too.
The
anyway, we're getting off the
Khaled.
rails as fuck.
No, anything to promote? Sweet Dream Baba, all the usual shit.
Yeah, I don't care if anybody follows my personal Instagram, but follow my band because we are starting to book shows and gonna release a demo soon. It's just some punk, you know, some anti-capitalist punk. But I'm also thinking of trying to get people involved with mutual aid, not mutual charity, what the fuck? But yeah, the band Mega Money Powerball. You can follow us at Mega Money Powerball Instagram. The demo is gonna be called Megaton, and it's gonna be all nuclear war themed with explosion. Like if you like Fallout and bad punk music, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it, folks.
All right, hell yeah. Yeah, and then Soft Sound Circus if you need guitar pedals. I think that I don't really have any. That's the problem with us being
We're doing
entertainers.
Soft Sound Studios with this, right?
Yeah, for sure. We're gonna start expanding shit for sure.
Yeah, we need to work on the media.
Yeah,
the
get all
media
that stuff
mogul.
going. That's the problem with
moves.
us not being entertainers is that like we want to follow the podcast format of like this is the plug section and all that shit. But like right now, I mean, I don't really fucking.
Yeah, we don't got nothing right
So
now,
we're
right?
fucking posers at best.
Yeah, we're
But yeah.
posers, dude. We're fake. We're phonies.
Yeah.
And we love jelking to Instagram videos.
So yeah, as of now, you'll be able to find us on YouTube and stuff like that. And then we'll start going up on other places, and you'll get a more regular release schedule. We're gonna start trying to stick to maybe Thursdays. We'll try our release days or whatever. But yeah, we're just gonna keep rolling with it. You good with that?
Yeah.
All right, hell yeah.
Autobots roll out. That's what I say.
And remember, Autobots roll out.
And keep joking.
Autobots don't come.
Don't make me do the voice.